Why, hello, fellow pilgrims. Welcome as you have been journeying through the vast open wilderness of the internet. Sometimes, amidst all the waste and barrenness, you can stumble across a little spring, a little life-giving spot, and I'm hoping this is that for you. This is the place where we are reading through a psalm a day, or perhaps more appropriately, a psalm a video, and just trying to sit with its wisdom and soak in it a bit, chew on it, digest it, because there is a great amount of diversity and prophecy and blessing and hope and even a full range of emotions that get expressed in the Psalms. And sometimes we just don't have the space to give each psalm its due and how they build off of one another, play off of one another, contrast one another, and complement one another. So as you can see from the title, we are in Psalm 3 today. If you would like to sit with the previous Psalms, you certainly can. There will be a link in the description box below. And if you would like to follow along, you certainly can. So here now our reading, Psalm 3. A psalm of David when he fled from Absalom, his son. Yahweh, how many enemies I have! How countless are those attacking me! How countless those who say of me, there is no salvation for him in God. Selah. But you, Yahweh, are a shield for me. You are my glory. You lift my head high. With my voice I call out to Yahweh, and he answers me from his holy hill. Selah. I lie down and sleep, then wake up again, because Yahweh sustains me. I am not afraid of the tens of thousands set against me on every side. Rise up, Yahweh. Save me, my God. For you slap all my enemies in the face. You smash the teeth of the wicked. Victory comes from Yahweh. May your blessing rest upon your people. Selah. These are the true and poetic words of our eternal God. Now, right away, one of the first things we might notice that is different from Psalm 3, from either one of its predecessors, is that it has a superscript. It has a title and a reference point for us. So it's called a Psalm of David when he fled from Absalom, his son. There's a lot of debate about what exactly the superscripts are intended to mean. Does this mean that David literally wrote this psalm? Certainly is possible. Did it mean that he wrote it while he was fleeing from his son? It's certainly possible. Does it mean that it is meant to call us back to this event, even though it's written from a later date? That certainly is possible. But what the psalmist, I guess, wants us to enter into, at the very least, is that there was a historical event, and you can frame your thinking, your understanding of this psalm, and even a context for it in that particular historical story. Now, for many of us, we might be surprised, maybe even disturbed, at how much militaristic language can and will be used in the Psalms. And this is certainly one of those Psalms. If you know that story of David and his son Absalom, that was a very shocking, frustrating, frightening time, I would have to presume, where David flees the city of Jerusalem because his son Absalom is trying to make a power play on the throne and seems to fully intend to kill his father David so that he can take his place. And that means that David and a lot of his men and a lot of his supporters all flee on foot. They try to spare the city, and certainly the odds are against them. So if you read the psalm in that context, you see how even when there are so many enemies surrounding you, there are so many opportunities for you to be overthrown by those who plot evil against you. If you are walking with the Lord and in accordance with his plan and his will, that he is the one who is able to protect you. You might be able to lie down and sleep and wake up again, not fearing as much as the average person, and certainly not concerned that your life is just arbitrary. You can rest assured in the God who made you and the God who covenanted with you. And then he also calls on God to deliver him, to be the one who fights for him. And when you have that kind of support, it changes the way you deal with things. Now, even if this isn't David's perspective in this moment, and you think about how the Psalms could be read in temple worship, it does call to mind for the people of God their history and how God has often stepped in and delivered them from their enemies. Because it's listed as a Psalm of David, it's also messianic then. And at the very least, what we mean by that is any anointed one, anointed king who comes from the line of David can look back and see how God has remained faithful with those whom he has chosen, particularly those to lead his people. And therefore, it tells about God's specific favor with specific individuals, certainly including David and his sons. And we know that the one day coming son of David was meant to be this great ruler who would restore all things in the world. It is not surprising when you think of how the church has read these Psalms over the years that sometimes the militaristic ones are hard to enter into because the church is not waging war against anybody in a physical sense. Nor are we always threatened physically. Now, there are certainly churches and believers around the world who live in very hostile nations with hostile regimes that are openly persecuting them, jailing them, sometimes even trying to end their lives. So I don't want to make light of that or even make the North American Christian experience the normative one. But for many people in my context, and I would presume in the context of many of you who are watching this video, this may be something that's a little harder for us in our imaginations to enter into, which I think is why a lot of times we just read this as seeing the greatest problems that you can imagine. You can still rest and sleep and trust in God, knowing that God can and often will be your deliverer. And that's a good word from the Psalms today. That gives us something to chew on. So by all means, keep meditating on this. Keep running this over in your mind and in your heart. And until our next video, until our next Psalm, may the peace of God be with you. Amen.